What happens when a city loses its soul? When the industries that once thrived vanish, and the streets that bustled with life turn eerily quiet. Across America, some cities have suffered such profound decline that their former glory is now a distant memory. The economic shifts of the 20th and 21st centuries, natural disasters, and changing industries have left scars that some places will never recover from. In today's video, we're uncovering 13 American cities that are dead forever. These cities, once thriving hubs of culture, commerce, and community, have become shadows of their former selves. Before we dive into this list, we pour countless hours into creating videos like this to bring you engaging and informative content. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Discovering the Earth, and let us know in the comments if you've ever visited one of these cities or know others that deserve to be on this list. Number 1. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, once known as the Motor City, was the epicenter of America's automotive industry and a symbol of industrial innovation. In 1950, Detroit was the fifth largest city in America, with nearly 1.9 million residents. The booming auto industry provided stable jobs, making Detroit a beacon for workers nationwide. The city also earned the title Arsenal of Democracy during World War I due to its pivotal role in producing war supplies. However, the city's fortunes took a turn in the 1970s. The rise of foreign car manufacturers, particularly from Japan, introduced competition that Detroit's automakers struggled to match. The Arab oil embargo further hastened this decline, as consumers demanded fuel-efficient cars that Detroit couldn't produce fast enough. By the 1980s, factories closed, unemployment soared, and families moved away. Today, Detroit's population has plummeted to around 620,000. Despite revitalization efforts, much of the city remains abandoned, with entire neighborhoods left to decay, symbolizing the demise of an industrial giant. The story of Detroit is one of resilience, but its scars are visible. While downtown has seen recent redevelopment, vast areas of the city remain hollowed out. The Motor City's rise and fall offer a cautionary tale about the dangers of relying on a single industry for economic survival. Number 2. Flint, Michigan. Located just an hour from Detroit, Flint's history mirrors that of its larger neighbor. As the birthplace of General Motors, Flint was once synonymous with America's automotive success. In the 1960s, the city had nearly 200,000 residents, with thousands working in GM factories. Flint was a thriving community, home to bustling neighborhoods, excellent schools, and a robust middle class. But as the auto industry declined, Flint's fortunes crumbled. By the 1980s, factory closures began erasing the city's economic foundation. By 2010, Flint's population had have to under 100,000. The city's struggles worsened in 2014, when a switch in its water source led to one of the most infamous public health crises in U.S. history. The Flint water crisis. Contaminated drinking water exposed thousands of residents to lead, deepening the city's woes and tarnishing its reputation. Flint's story is heartbreaking but not without hope. Community leaders and activists are working tirelessly to rebuild trust and infrastructure. However, for many, Flint remains a symbol of industrial collapse and governmental neglect, leaving scars that may never fully heal. Number 3. Gary, Indiana. Gary, once a booming steel town, Gary, Indiana, was built in 1906 by U.S. Steel Corporation to support its sprawling manufacturing operations. By the 1960s, Gary's population peaked at nearly 180,000, and the city became synonymous with American industry. Its steel mills fueled economic growth, creating jobs and opportunities that attracted people from across the Midwest. However, as globalization took hold in the late 20th century, the steel industry began to decline. Cheaper imports from overseas and advancements in automation rendered Gary's massive mills less competitive. Factories closed, jobs disappeared, and the city's economy crumbled. Today, Gary's population has dwindled to less than 70,000, and large sections of the city are abandoned. Crumbling schools, shuttered businesses, and empty homes now define much of Gary's landscape. Efforts to revitalize Gary have been met with limited success. While the city's proximity to Chicago offers some potential, its reputation as one of America's most dangerous cities makes attracting investment difficult. Gary stands as a haunting reminder of the devastating impact of industrial decline on communities. Number 4. Atlantic City, New Jersey. Atlantic City was once a beacon of glamour and entertainment. It was a tourist haven, famous for its stunning boardwalk, historic hotels, and pristine beaches. The city's prominence began in the late 19th century, when it became a vacation destination for New York and Philadelphia's elite. By the 1920s, it earned its nickname, the world's playground, due to its bustling nightlife and casinos. However, the glitter of Atlantic City would fade over time, leaving behind an economy deeply dependent on tourism and gambling. The downfall began in the late 20th century. Air travel became affordable, allowing tourists to favor warmer, more exotic locations like Florida or the Caribbean. Simultaneously, the rise of Las Vegas transformed the gambling industry, drawing conventions and gamblers away from Atlantic City. Despite introducing legalized gambling in the 1970s, the move came too late. By the early 2000s, many of its iconic casinos were shuttered, including the famous Trump Plaza, and unemployment surged. Vacant hotels and deteriorating infrastructure gave the once vibrant city a ghostly appearance. Atlantic City still tries to claw back some of its former glory, but with increasing competition from other states' casinos and the lasting effects of economic stagnation, its future remains bleak. What was once a thriving hotspot is now a cautionary tale of how over-reliance on a single industry can lead to collapse. Number 5. Galveston, Texas. Galveston was once the crown jewel of Texas. In the late 19th century, it was the state's wealthiest city and a major shipping hub. Known as the Wall Street of the South, Galveston thrived with its bustling port and luxurious Victorian-era mansions. But the city's golden age was abruptly ended by the devastating hurricane of 1900, which claimed over 6,000 lives. The natural disaster marked the beginning of Galveston's decline, as Houston's port began to grow and oil replaced shipping as Texas's primary industry. Galveston faded into the background. Attempts to reinvent itself as a tourist destination were hindered by its vulnerability to hurricanes. The city faced another major setback with Hurricane Ike in 2008, which caused widespread destruction and crippled its economy once again. Though Galveston still has its historical charm and attracts tourists for its beaches and architecture, its economic prospects are far from what they were in its heyday. It's a city clinging to its legacy, but unable to recapture its former glory. Number 6. Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown, Ohio was once a steel-producing titan in the early 20th century, known as Steel Valley. The city flourished during the Industrial Revolution, with massive steel mills employing thousands and driving the local economy. By the 1950s, Youngstown was a bustling city, attracting workers from across the United States with the promise of high-paying jobs. However, everything changed on September 19, 1977, what locals call Black Monday. The sudden closure of major steel mills set off a chain reaction of economic collapse. Thousands of jobs were lost overnight, and the population began to decline rapidly. The collapse of the steel industry devastated Youngstown, leaving behind abandoned factories, high unemployment, and rising crime. Efforts to diversify the economy were met with limited success. Today, the scars of industrial decline are still visible. Entire neighborhoods have been abandoned, and the city's population has dropped from 170,000 in the 1950s to less than 65,000 today. While there are small signs of revitalization, Youngstown remains a sobering example of the impact of deindustrialization on American cities. Number 7. Camden, New Jersey. Camden, once a thriving industrial and cultural hub, Camden, New Jersey, has become one of the most economically depressed cities in the United States. In the early 20th century, Camden was a manufacturing powerhouse, home to iconic companies like RCA Victor and Campbell Soup. The city also benefited from its strategic location along the Delaware River, making it a key transportation and shipping hub. Camden's decline began in the mid-20th century when manufacturing jobs started to disappear due to automation and outsourcing. Middle-class families moved to the suburbs, leaving behind a city grappling with poverty, unemployment, and urban decay. By the 1980s, Camden had one of the highest crime rates in the country, and it became notorious for its struggles with corruption and violence. While recent efforts have aimed to improve public safety and attract new investment, Camden still faces significant challenges. Its reputation as a city in decline persists, and its recovery remains uncertain. The city's story is a cautionary tale of how the loss of industry can have a lasting impact on communities. Number 8. East St. Louis, Illinois. East St. Louis, Illinois, was once a thriving industrial city in the early 20th century. Situated across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, Missouri, the city benefited from its strategic location, becoming a hub for manufacturing and shipping. It attracted a large workforce and enjoyed economic prosperity during its peak. However, as factories closed and jobs disappeared in the mid-20th century, East St. Louis entered a period of rapid decline. The exodus of businesses and residents left the city struggling with poverty, high crime rates, and failing infrastructure. By the 1970s, East St. Louis had become one of the poorest cities in the United States, and its population had dwindled drastically. Today, East St. Louis is often associated with urban blight and economic hardship. Despite some attempts to attract investment and revitalize the city, progress has been slow. Entire neighborhoods are filled with abandoned buildings, and the city's once thriving downtown is a shadow of its former self. Number 9. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia, Pennsylvania, is a city unlike any other on this list. Once a bustling coal mining town, Centralia's population began to dwindle after a fire broke out in an underground coal seam in 1962. Despite efforts to extinguish the fire, it continued to burn uncontrollably, spreading beneath the town and releasing toxic gases. The fire made Centralia unsafe for residents, and by the 1980s, the government began evacuating the town. Today, only a handful of residents remain, and most of the city's buildings have been demolished. The abandoned streets and smoking ground give Centralia an eerie, post-apocalyptic appearance. While Centralia is no longer a functioning city, it has gained notoriety as a tourist attraction, drawing visitors curious about its haunting story. However, the underground fire is expected to burn for another 250 years, ensuring that Centralia remains uninhabitable for generations to come. Number 10. Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey is one of America's oldest cities, with a rich history dating back to the 17th century. Once a thriving industrial and cultural center, Newark was home to major corporations, bustling neighborhoods, and a vibrant art scene. Its proximity to New York City and its strategic location as a transportation hub made it a magnet for businesses and residents alike. However, Newark's decline began in the mid-20th century. The rise of suburbanization, the loss of manufacturing jobs, and racial tensions culminated in the 1967 Newark riots, which left the city in turmoil. Businesses fled, crime rates soared, and the population plummeted. By the 1980s, Newark had become synonymous with urban decay and violence. Despite significant revitalization efforts in recent years, including new developments and an improved transportation infrastructure, Newark still struggles with poverty and inequality. The city is a reminder of how quickly urban prosperity can unravel and how difficult it can be to reverse decades of decline. Number 11. San Bernardino, California. San Bernardino is a city with deep historical roots. Nestled in Southern California, it was once a thriving economic hub, benefiting from a strong industrial base and military presence. However, the city has faced severe setbacks over the years, starting with the closure of Norton Air Force Base in 1994. This event triggered a cascade of economic challenges, leading to increased unemployment and widespread poverty. By 2012, San Bernardino filed for bankruptcy, marking one of the largest municipal bankruptcies in U.S. history at the time. Today, many residents struggle with a median household income that is significantly lower than the state average. Crime rates in San Bernardino are among the highest in California, further compounding its struggles. Violent crimes and property thefts have earned it a reputation as one of the state's most dangerous cities. These issues are aggravated by limited access to affordable housing and consistent job opportunities. However, hope remains. Community-driven initiatives and infrastructure development projects are slowly working to turn the tide, focusing on improving public safety and economic growth. Efforts to create local business opportunities and renovate key areas are paving a path toward revitalization. Number 12. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, a city steeped in musical and cultural heritage, is renowned for its contributions to blues, soul, and rock and roll. However, despite its vibrant history, Memphis has been struggling with economic hardships and a high rate of violent crimes. The city's poverty rate is among the highest in Tennessee, with many neighborhoods facing severe economic disparities. Factors such as limited access to quality education and employment opportunities have exacerbated these challenges, leaving many residents in difficult living conditions. Crime remains one of Memphis' most pressing issues, with the city frequently ranking high on national lists for violent crimes, including homicides and assaults. However, Memphis also holds immense potential for transformation. Community-led initiatives and investments in urban redevelopment projects aim to revitalize its neighborhoods. Efforts to enhance safety and create job opportunities reflect the resilience of its residents and their commitment to fostering a brighter future. Number 13. Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas, the state's capital and largest city, struggles with persistent economic inequality and high crime rates. While it serves as a center for government and commerce, many neighborhoods in Little Rock experience poverty, unemployment, and limited access to essential services. The city has a violent crime rate that is significantly higher than the national average, contributing to its reputation as one of the more dangerous cities in the United States. However, Little Rock is actively working to improve. Programs aimed at youth education, job creation, and community policing are helping address systemic issues. The city's commitment to revitalizing its historic downtown and investing in public safety initiatives reflects its resilience. With a combination of community efforts and government intervention, Little Rock hopes to overcome these obstacles and restore its image as a livable, prosperous city. The stories of these cities highlight a recurring theme: how economic shifts, poor planning, and unforeseen disasters can lead to urban collapse. From Centralia's underground fire to Youngstown's industrial collapse, each city's downfall offers a lesson in resilience and adaptation. But these cities are more than just symbols of decline. They're reminders of the people who lived, worked, and built lives there. For some, these cities are still home, and efforts to rebuild continue. However, the question remains, can these cities ever return to their former glory? Or are they destined to remain shadows of their past? Which of these cities surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content from Discovering the Earth. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep discovering.